Would you stop and raise your right hand? You swear or affirm that any testimony you give in this trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you?
Yes, I do.
See, it is, huh? Now that you're seated, please state your name in full, then spell your last name for the court's record.
Full name is Kathleen Linton, Linton. I go by Katie though.
All right, go ahead, Counsel.
What is your occupation?
I am a firefighter with Capt Fire Department.
And what is your current role with the Capt Fire?
I'm a firefighter, EMT, and a captain.
And what do you do as a captain with the Capt Fire Department?
Well, it's a regular duty position, so I'm on the engine every day, shift work, kind of oversee my crew, on calls, doing station duties, those kinds of things.
Okay. And how long have you been with the Capt Fire Department?
Just over 13 years.
And can you please describe your educational background?
Well, I am an EMT basic for that, but prior to starting with Capt Fire, I'm a veterinarian as well.
And any prior related work history with regard to your work at the Capt Fire Department?
Not really. I was a volunteer for a little over a year and a half.
What sort of work did you do before you were at the Capt Fire Department?
I was a veterinarian full-time, and then various jobs prior to that.
Okay. Are you familiar with a man by the name of Kevin West?
I am.
And how is it that you're familiar with him?
Work.
And do you see him in the courtroom?
I do.
Can you identify it by an article of clothing he's wearing?
Black jacket.
Let the record reflect the witness identify the defendant.
It does.
When did you first meet Kevin West?
When I started with the Capt Fire,
And that was?
late 2012.
Okay. And how often would you interact with him in your time at the Capt Fire Department?
I was on his crew the first year. So.
And how about after that?
The occasional shifts. I mean, we all know each other. We work together. He was our union vice president for a while, so.
Okay. Was there a period of time that you were interacting with him more?
Earlier in my career, I was on his shift, on his crew.
How often were the two of you interacting, say, in like 2019?
Not a lot.
Okay. When you did interact with him, how was he speaking about his wife, Marcy?
In that time period, I don't know that we talked about it a lot. I know there was trouble in the relationship, and I think about that time period there was talk of him moving out and renting an apartment from a coworker.
This is based on our sustain the objection and disregard the last comment. Listen to the question asked and answer that question.
Around this time period, what was Kevin specifically telling you about his relationship with Marcy?
Not sure how to answer it with that. I did ask him at one point, because I'd heard he was getting a divorce and moving out. And then he'd made a comment. I was working, I believe, an overtime shift about plans they had in the future, and I did ask, are you not getting a divorce?
Okay, and what was his response?
He had told me that he had talked to a lawyer, and that he would only have $1,600 or $1,800 a month to live on if he got a divorce, which seemed odd to me. And I did ask,
Objection to relevance, move to strike.
I understood it. She was about to relate part of the conversation, so I'll overrule the objection.
She said it seemed odd to her.
It seemed odd to her, and so she said she was going to ask him something. So if it's related to your conversation with Mr. West, you can answer. If it's your own speculations or discussions with someone else, you can't answer.
Okay. It was a conversation I had with him, and I asked, how could you only have $1,600 or $1,800 a month? We make a pretty good living. I just didn't see that, and he just said he had talked to a lawyer, and that was what they told him, and that he was stuck financially.
Okay. And when was that conversation approximately?
I know it was before COVID, I think around 2018.
Your Honor, I'm going to object based upon relevance, move to strike that answer, 2018.
I will rule the objection.
Were you scheduled to work on January 8th of 2024?
I was scheduled to come into work that morning,
And did something happen prior to the start of your shift?
yes.
And what was that?
I live in a location where I heard sirens going by my house that woke me up about somewhere after 4 a.m., I'm not sure what time. And you can kind of tell the difference between a nothing code 3 call and they're going to something by the sound of the sirens, and I kind of was like, well, I wonder what that is, if they have a fire or something, so I opened up my phone and looked at the call, and looked at the call notes.
And when you looked at the call notes, what did you learn?
It was a seizure call. I thought, okay, and I was reading the notes. It said, I believe 48-year-old female having a seizure. I knew engine 41 ended up getting dispatched. It said it went into CPR in progress, which definitely caught my attention, because that's not a normal progression we
Objection,
see.
non-responsive.
Sustain this to the last comment. Do you have additional questions of the witness?
When you observed, well, did you end up going into work that day?
I did,
And when did you go into work?
a couple hours early.
And was that because of what you had observed in the app?
Yes, because I looked at the notes, looked at the location, it didn't click, and then when I was going back to look at the notes to see what was going on more, I clicked on the screen that had the caller name, and I saw the caller name. So then I knew it was Kevin's house and his wife, and I knew the crew going would be affected, and I texted the battalion chief and said, hey, I saw the call, I can come in early to get people out of there. They were going through it.
Did you ultimately learn that Marcy West had passed?
Yes,
Without going into specifically why, did you have concerns that the death may not have been natural?
yes,
And did you report that information?
I did.
To whom?
I came in to talk to the sheriff, and they stopped me and redirected me to the ME's office.
Did you then go to the medical examiner's
did.
office? Is that a yes?
Yes,
And did you convey to them your concerns?
I did.
And did you originally ask to remain anonymous?
I did,
And why was that?
because I was scared.
Why were you scared?
Objection, relevance.
Sustain.
I have no further questions.
Cross-examination?
You know Casey Jones?
I do.
You friends with her?
I work with her.
Okay, that's all I have, thank you.
Redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Can the witness be excused?
Yes.
You're free to go. Don't discuss your testimony with any other potential witness.
Okay.